Top of it, man. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody doing well. Hope everybody feeling good. You know, hope everybody doing well. Hope everybody feeling well. Um, I got a real good topic of discussion today, and the title of today's discussion is going to be why don't some people want peace? And just let me get situated real quick. Get all my ones and twos together. And then we're going to dive right in, man, because this is something, I think we all think about generally more often than not. Because we all know an individual like this, you know, who it doesn't matter what you do for that person, how far you go, or whatever the case, um, they just don't seem to want peace when it comes down to it. Because when it comes down to it, and when peace becomes a matter of being simplified, these people uh, they fail to act, you know, in that direction. But if this, you know, contributing towards a quarrel or some type of drama, confusion, destruction, these people willingly, you know, are involved, and they're heavily involved, you know, due to those factors, because it's a matter of confusion, it's a matter of stealing, it's a matter of destruction. So again, the question and the title of today's audio is why don't some people want peace? And I would like to think for all the reasons um, opposite of what you would anticipate a person not wanting peace for. But what I mean by that is saying I feel like a lot of people don't want peace and don't act on, behalf of moving toward peace or use their influence, to cultivate peace is because peace is similar to being alone, in solitude. But, when it comes, you know, to being peaceful, um, you know, all the insincerity is, kind of filtered out. Anything not productive is filtered out. Anything not constructive and forward moving is filtered out. So, you know, anything that's, unproductive or that's contrary of unison and harmony, you know, won't be able to thrive and won't be able to contribute in regards to peace and cultivating a peaceful environment. And, I've learned a lot about myself this year in regard to, just career. One, that of course, when you find your purpose, you find your foundation and you find your footing in the world and you find your place of identity and your sense of belonging. And when you have that intact and in order, you're allowed or, freed, to contribute and help others find the things, beneficial to themselves. Right. And it's such a blessing, because not that it's a blessing because I see others go through things that I don't go through anymore. It's a blessing because I once fell victim to the same things that I see others fall victim to, you know, due to not being able to separate or detach from pride. And in regard to, our personal ego, uh, I think a lot of times when we're working on behalf of, the universe are saying that we want to, we want everybody to live, harmoniously, and we want everybody to have their own. That's one thing. But then because you're free from your iniquities, and your insecurities and your baggage for a time, you're allowed, some blessings from your environment and, your immediate environment, to see what you will do with these things. More often than not, a lot of people, manifest something they may have hoped, a long time for or worked diligently for, or, maybe they just believe that they can have it. And before you know it, the universe has blessed them with it. And more often than not, people attribute, you know, their manifestation and, their vision being realized to their ego and automatically decide to operate from that state. And in regard to speaking, why don't people want peace? A lot of people, don't want peace or can't see themselves being peaceful in any regard, uh, simply because they see, you know, themselves being on the losing end of the stick, or like they're losing something, right? And sometimes it's as simple as they don't want others having peace, and a lot of times people will try to make it seem like there's a overwhelming purpose that they're working toward, or something like that, as to why, they can never rest, or that they're never satisfied or content. But to simplify the matter, you can see, who actually, you know, is able to give something, to somebody else when they have received, that same energy from that person. And then you got some people who like to do a bunch of receiving, but in regard to giving, they really struggle. Now, in regard to the discussion of peace, I would say the only thing that these people are really hesitant, to give is really their acceptance and their blessing in regard to peace. And I think that raises another question of concern, because if peace and, everybody having their own, everybody being happy, everybody being fulfilled, and everybody being motivated and inspired to continue and to live their life, how they, want to live is an issue for certain people, then these people clearly aren't, cultivating a mindset of peace. And I'm almost certain that they don't give a feeling of peacefulness, and a lot of times people are deceptive. They'll try to simplify their motives, simplify their intent behind their habits and, their words and maybe their actions. But we're speaking in regard to why don't some people want peace. A lot of times, people talk a good game, but when it comes to, being peaceful or doing the simple thing, for everyone involved, these people can't do it, right? And they'll welcome a bunch of unwarranted trouble and unnecessary things, from that state, and I think really it's it's very unfortunate, but it's also like one of those things where you don't need to be disheartened by the matter. And the reason I say I'm very proud of myself of the growth and everything that I've had is because rather than give these people acknowledgement, rather than give these people any more momentum, than they already have by, pointing out or confronting what it is that they're doing, confronting, the state that they're operating from, or confronting, or addressing the energy that they're giving off, you know, rather than doing any of that. I've really just been, taking it upon myself to, encourage others not to react or respond and put themselves in a place of being unbothered and being unbothered deliberately, like by cultivating that space. And you can look at, a lot of the previous audios, like, uh, that I posted, and that that pretty much is always like, a discussion, just cultivating our safe space and cultivating a place that we can retreat to, not being unhealthy, not running away from responsibility or accountability, but really this is just for you know those times where you may feel overwhelmed with life. You may feel like you're expressing yourself, um, and you're communicating with others, but you still don't necessarily feel understood. And you have to know that you have a place within yourself that you can go in and exact what it is that you want, what it is that you're trying to feel, where it is that you're trying to go. And you have all the tools and the faculties to cultivate your space. And rather than acknowledging, um, you know, anybody else who is looking for trouble, or who is looking for quarrels, in other words, fights, arguments, drama, anything unconstructive, you know let's cultivate things that could help us and that we can use as tools in order to be more effective. And again, I understand every perspective. So sometimes, you know you don't want to take the high road. Sometimes you want to call somebody a piece of shit. Sometimes you don't want to take the high road. Sometimes you want to tell somebody they can fuck off. Sometimes you don't want to cultivate the high road and you don't want to do the right thing. Sometimes you want to react and get aggressive and you want to match people's energy. But that's all fine and dandy. But I would be doing you a disservice if I lied to you and tell you that you can do any of that or you can act on any of those feelings and not receive what you're supposed to receive in regards to energy. So before you react and you reciprocate some of the things that you're given or that's being projected your way, you know, take a moment and ask yourself, you know, is it really worth it? And then think about how far you came in regard to growth. Think about some of the things that you used to react to, that you used to get upset about, that now, you actually have some patience to where you can help somebody else. And also be appreciative, be appreciative of that fact and of those things that you're thankful for. And you show gratitude, but also you build on that, because a lot of times you'll get in a space of excusing yourself and think that you could voice exactly how you feel, and that's not necessarily the case. Regardless if your good outweighs your bad, regardless if you're focused on your purpose and your good outweighs your bad, you're not entitled to speak your mind about another just because they may not be moving ideally, or they may not be in harmony with your vision, or just in unison with the environment around them. Like, it's not your responsibility to let that person know that what they're doing is distasteful, right? And I don't want you to get in a space of expressing yourself, or needing to let things be known, or pretty much letting yourself off the hook, and taking your foot off the gas in regard to discipline and self-restraint and taking that high road, right? And again, it doesn't get any tougher. I mean, oh, apologies. It doesn't get any easier. It doesn't get any more lighthearted, right? But same time, you get more callous to a lot of things, and you really build up a reputation and a foundation of being of value, because people who can perform when others usually crack down, or where others usually react or respond emotionally, those are the people who are of value. Those are the people who will be sought out. Those will be the people, you know, where your reputation goes before you and precedes you, right? And you just have to know all your habits, all your thoughts, and all your tough decisions, and all the discipline that you're working up to build. It's not built in vain. You're not laboring in vain. And sometimes, it's seeming on the surface level that because this person, may be having their way, or may be seemingly, winning the hearts of others. there's a scripture that says, don't envy the prosperity of the wicked, but also you have to understand, you know, these people, their lot or the plunder that they possess is bound to end in ruin, right? And for two reasons. One, because it's plunder, it's stolen goods from another and unjustly. But then two, the intention behind what they do. These people don't want peace. These people want confusion. These people want destruction. These people want, to be able to steal and get full credibility, and some people really are living like this wicked behind closed doors, but they put on a real good front. They may not curse at all. They may not, voice their disdain, but their actions are always revealing, of what they're thinking. And in regard to the person, who is looking to cultivate peace and who wants to see others win and who wants, and who has belief in the possibility of everybody winning. Um, you got to keep yourself encouraged, energized, and replenished. To I don't want to say spar and duel with these individuals, but also understanding that you're just the dual. You're the dual side of nature. So, majority of these individuals aren't even aware that it's a battle in regard to energy. Some are just very, very much comfortable and immersed in the habits that they cultivated growing up and as an adult doing what they feel that they have to do in order to get to where they want to go. And you got to know better, right? And that's where giving others the benefit of the doubt, giving yourself the benefit of the doubts, uh, really becomes beneficial because you don't have to worry about yourself losing your cool or making a fool out of yourself, from thinking that you're entitled to, say what's on your mind about another. And no matter how much somebody seemingly is provoking you or antagonizing you, understanding that is revealing about what you got inside you. And also, I'll be the first to say you are that powerful. You are that much of a factor. You are that influential. And the only thing that makes it not so is your belief and your doubt. Your doubt in that certainty that you are that, right? And the more sincere that you get, the more focused and less distracted that you are about your purpose and what you're going to do in order to reach that purpose. I'm telling you, you put a shield over yourself of the finest soldiers and the finest watchmen that you could possibly seek. And this is for two reasons. One, because you're moving in harmony with the universe, you're in unison with the universe, and also two, you're taking the high road and you're understanding that the only thing that you could control is yourself. So you're not uh taking the time, and you're not just moving feelingly, you're not just moving instinctively, you're doing the work on yourself and you're setting out every day, to plan and think for yourself, and you're being intentional about your action, about your thoughts, about what you say, about how you react and conduct yourself in order to cultivate and maintain that sense of peace. And I just gotta remind you, but also encourage you that you'll be rewarded, and also you'll be rewarded at many different times and in many different variations. But what also another thing I think that's fitting that I should say is you have to revise on what you think you can do. And this is even in regard to myself. Like I gotta take the cap off of what I think is, top tier money, right? And I gotta take the cap off of the limit of even having a limit of what I think I can do, right? And we gotta operate from a space of being unlimited. I truly believe this, understanding that uh, what we are doing and how we are choosing, to move and act following, acknowledging that some people don't want peace. That's just the bottom line. But what are you going to do? Wage war with those people? And that's not to overtly wage war, right? But there will be times where you're confronted, with these individuals, and it'll be a matter of speaking up. And when you speak up, you can speak up confidently because you're cultivating peace. You want peace for all. The thing I need you to understand in the grass is, these people intention and their mindset will be, exploited, by their inability to cultivate peace. So you're not losing. You don't have to react. You don't have to respond in any regard, but you ask God for help. You know, you talk to somebody, you may trust, not necessarily name drop or tell all your business or tell exactly what's going on, and don't be gossiping, but you could try to relate to, a feeling, or say, has somebody else felt that way? What do they do in order to eradicate that feeling? And start from there, build on the little things. But also too, I think what's important is, in order for you to be occupied and for you to have something to work toward, you got to be focused, and you got to plan accordingly. So, okay, we all have a vision, but you know, you can get there from just visualizing yourself. And if you're that obsessed about what it is that you want to do or where it is that you want to go, best believe you'll get those results. But I'm saying, in record to being healthy, there's going to be times where you have to rest, and you have to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. And also, the universe will give you a sequence of tests in regard to how bad you want this vision. And what I want for you is for you not to react to anything that would, keep your vision from you, keep your success from you, keep your prosperity from you. And it's so easy to get lured and baited into reactivity, due to other people, seemingly provoking us or antagonizing us. But also, like, um, there's a quote that says, what bothers you about other people is very revealing about yourself. And it's so true. Not to say that other people are necessarily right and that you're wrong, but to remind you that there's always more things to work on. And whenever you think you're completed, and you have all aspects covered, there's deeper levels of those aspects. So as always, you always want to have something positive and upright and prestige that you're working toward. And you don't have to necessarily share this with people in your environment, but by being so focused and being so immersed in what you want to do, right? Naturally, any institution or function or movement that you're a part of, naturally you'll cultivate peace because you found your peace, you found your purpose. So you don't want, confusion, destruction, for anybody else. You're not cultivating anything that will lead to that, right? And so finding a purpose, brings a sense of peace, brings a sense of identity, brings a sense of direction, brings a sense of poise, brings a sense of patience. And how many rush hastily and miss the mark? So how many speed to do a thing but don't do it right or don't do it correctly? How many rush to do something but it's not correct, it's not effective, and it doesn't endure? So before reacting and before jumping head first into something or to say something, in regard to those who don't, seem to want peace, um, excuse them and give them the benefit of the doubt of, discovering on their own journey, you know, at the appointed time. And understand that, you know, you got godliness in you. God abides and resides in you, but you're not God. So it's not for you to bring the judgment upon these people. It's not for you to necessarily rebuke these people when unwarranted and unnecessarily or in front of others. You know, or to call their bluff or to put them on the spot. It's not for you to do that. But also too, you shouldn't want to do that because you need to protect yourself. You need to protect what you need to do and what you're working toward, and keep yourself in a sense of peace, right? And if you want peace and you're looking to cultivate peace, one thing you won't be doing is cultivating drama, cultivating fights, cultivating an environment of toxicity, of troublesome or being troublesome. And you'll learn to walk it how you talk it, right? And it's easier said than done, but I just wanted to give some encouragement and, drop that on you guys because you see a lot of chaos and lawlessness out in the world, and it could give the implication or the impression that you could do whatever you want, or that because there's others that's moving so wicked that you can indulge in a little wickedness. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Don't be too good, don't be too bad," either. But also too, it does say if you know the law, then it's your duty to do the law, and it doesn't say that you're excluded for deviating from the law, So just wanted to remind you guys of that, and like I said, just get some encouragement, man. And I'll be dropping some more content real soon. But I hope this message finds you well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. And I hope you get into it, man. God bless.